Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Kristy Jansen.
And I'm Summers McKay.
We're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help make it one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, quarantine-at-my-house-worthy podcast. Today is Thursday, the 27th of May, 2021.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha.
So it's great to have you back. How is it all going?
Super. It's super around here. Thank you to you and Amelia for picking up the mic yesterday in my absence. Yes. So, our family, our daughter, our 22-month-old daughter, has a combination of viruses. She is fine and she is healing and she's getting better every day. But, she got hand, foot, and mouth disease, impetigo, croup.
Impetigo.
Why? I don't know. Impetigo. Fine. Impetigo. I don't know why I can't even pronounce it, but I'm also like sleepless, so I don't have to pronounce things. And anyway, she got like everything. She got everything that you would get if you were a normal human not living in quarantine and you were out playing in the world for a year over the course of a few different episodes. So she got them all at once from school. It was this moment because like we thought she was teething, and then it just kept getting worse and worse, and we were on our way to the dentist to deal with like maybe we need an x-ray, maybe these teeth are coming in sideways, and she got covered in this rash on our way to the dentist. And so my husband just like turns the car and we head straight to a pediatric urgent care. But what's really interesting, and I want to first and foremost send out so much love to every working parent out there, because there's a moment where your daughter comes back, your child comes back, and you find out that they have one of these 3 or 4 or perhaps 2 or whatever. And you think, oh gosh, well, she'll get better over the weekend. We'll just send her back to school. We don't need to tell the school. And honestly, my husband and I both, when we first got her diagnosis, he joked, he's like, don't tell the school. They'll never let her back. And we laughed. And then I thought about it and I thought, no, like we have to tell the school because that's why this keeps happening. So it's just this moment where I really feel so much compassion for working parents, because holy goats, like you're worried about losing your job. You don't have childcare. How are you going to get your work done? It is a nightmare. And I don't have a solution except to say that I am so grateful for my team at the Optimist Daily that they support me in being transparent and being able to care for my kiddo. But this coming out of the pandemicness has been less than rad.
No, absolutely. And the problem is that we've already had all of our routines upset. So we're not running on autopilot like we normally would in any other given year. So we're still kind of trying to find our footing. And then you also moved to a whole new town. So you're still trying to find your footing. And then something like this happens and you get the wrench thrown at you and you have to readjust again without the sort of the undergirding of your normal routines. And It feels like you don't know what to do and you don't know where to go and you don't know how to keep it going. And so I'm glad that we were able to just pinch hit for you yesterday. and I understand your sympathy with other parents who have small children, and it's really tough. And
yeah, like for us, like we know for sure because Brennan does nothing but play at school and play at home. That's it. Like our big outings are sometimes like we go to the supermarket.
Yeah.
And so there's no question these germs came from school, right? That just is where they had to come from. And so the odds are pretty good that somebody else's kid was sick and they just didn't have the ability to share or report it because they were afraid that their kid wouldn't be able to go back to school. And that is just really, really heartbreaking and really tough because people are trying so hard to get back to normal. And decision making is probably not all perfect as we're all scrambling to figure out like what does the world look like in this post-pandemic lifestyle.
Yeah. And it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it is
Yes.
Mental Health Awareness Week on the Optimist Daily. So I guess just give yourself a break
Mm-hmm.
and take some deep breaths. Do the parasympathetic breathing, which is what we did yesterday on the
Yesterday's,
pod.
yes, exactly. Thank you for talking
And
about that. It was very,
um,
very encouraging.
calm yourself down and remember that we can get things done. We're good at doing hard things, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Oh, I love your little shout out to my favorite new podcast, We're Good at Hard Things there. I don't know if
Oh,
you did you even mean to throw a little Glennon Doyle shout out there?
did not mean to do that. No, it is true though.
Yep. Yep. We are good at hard things. And as a world, we're good at hard things. So just everybody, like Mental Health Awareness Week, super big hug to the world today because we all need a hug. You know what we also need in this world, Kristy?
What's that?
Animals. Little furry creatures like office cats. Hey, Banjo. And other wild species and birds and bees and bugs and stuff. We need animals, huh?
Yeah, we do. We would not exist without them.
So we're gonna hit up two animal stories today on the Optimist Daily Update. The first one I'll go with is mine, which is Pastures Voluntaris program uses shepherding to bridge a cultural gap. Now, so this is actually a story about working animals and animals that are used in ranching as well as people and the people who work with them and sort of bridging a gap between city dwellers and the animal shepherds. Earlier in March, we shared a story about a Spanish village that is keeping up its tradition of shepherding with a school for female shepherds, not a traditionally female role. Now, a Swiss program is taking a similar approach to preserve its own cultural history and protect its remaining flocks. Now, the program is called Pastures Voluntaris, or Voluntary Shepherds, and it's a program that teaches city dwellers to come and protect sheep populations from wolves and other dangers. They spend weekends learning how to build fences, guide sheep, and pick ideal grazing areas to help local farmers protect their flocks. Sounds like a little weekend adventure that I would so dig right now. Can I please go learn to be a shepherd for a weekend? But the point of this program is that it was set up to create cross-communication between farmers and conservationists over native wolves in Switzerland's eastern mountains. There are about 100 wild wolves that live in the area, and population protections are in place. Their numbers are rising. But then a new referendum was proposed that would allow farmers and ranchers to shoot wolves who posed a potential threat to livestock. Now, that didn't end up passing because it was not supported, but it did give rise to this cultural divide that exists between those who make their living and their lives out of livestock and those who are protecting nature and protecting wolves. And it is that conversation of saying, all right, if we're going to live here and we're going to live here with animals and use animals both for working and for natural conservation, we've got to come up with communication between different opinions and populations. I think that is like the very essence of the Optimist Daily solutions.
Yeah, and I love this because it kind of takes a systemic approach to the whole problem. And it's not just about an us and them, the farmers versus the wolves versus the city dwellers.
Exactly.
But wolves are, as we've been talking about on the Optimist Daily, they're a crucial species. But they do, from time to time, if they're not handled properly, they might end up attacking the livestock. So how can you protect the livestock while also valuing the wolf populations, which are really important for keeping a balanced ecosystem? And that's what this program does. I was just reading this article the other morning about now that there's more wolves in, I think, Wisconsin or somewhere like that, there's less car crashes with deers. It's actually had a noticeable impact on deer crossings because deers
they're being managed by the wolf population.
Exactly. And they can actually become like a pest. Yeah. And you get these deers, which I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you, where they can jump out and it's really impossible to miss them when they jump right in front of your car. It's like, and it's a massive.
My husband and I, as we were driving around, the very, very sick baby almost hit a deer. It was one of those like, no, not that too.
Right.
Not that too.
It can damage your car. It can and it hurt. Yeah. And it feels terrible to hit an animal like that, a beautiful animal. But they can be pest-like. So wolves can be very useful in keeping those populations of wild animals in check, right?
Exactly.
So anyway, I just love this. I love the solution. I think it also, for people who live in the cities, to get a sense of what it means to work on the land and really appreciate the farmers and the herders who are giving us our wool, our fiber, our lamb. That's all important. And it's just, I love this cyclical to nature. It's
exactly.
Very nice. Which reminds me
Speaking of
my
nature
story.
cycles.
Yes,
Tell us.
it does.
Tell us, Kristy.
So my headline reads, Kenya is conducting its first nationwide animal census. And I just like this story so much because it highlights the fact that, as I believe, animals are people too, in a certain kind of way. We've been talking about, or we wrote a couple articles about the elephant baby boom that's been happening in the Kenya's national parks. And the lack of tourists has been beneficial, leading to those kinds of population increases. But the lack of funding from visitors has also been a problem. So they're looking forward to getting tourism back up because that's been an important part of the economy in Kenya and in keeping these animal parks going. And the animal parks are not just preserving the animals, but they're also preserving the ecosystems that the animals live and thrive in, right?
Yeah.
But in order to better protect those animals and just even know what we're dealing with, Kenya is taking advantage of the quiet parks to conduct its first ever comprehensive animal count of all animal and marine life across its 58 national parks. And what I like about this also is that the country is acknowledging the economic value in those preservation lands. And by acknowledging that, it'll help to protect those animal populations, which honestly, we are part of this world, and we also depend on healthy, thriving, diverse animal species, because that's, who knows what the next medicine coming out of a rainforest might be. And in order to protect those rainforests, we have to protect those elephants because they're one of those keystone species, right? And over the last few decades, the wild animal populations in Kenya have declined in a frightening manner, where it's been very alarming. And so researchers are hoping that this complete count will help offer a more detailed picture of population health and give insights into what effective conservation strategies can be designed and deployed for the more than 1,000 native species which call the country home. And this is 1,000 native wild, like large animal species, not even talking about the thousands, millions of different species of bugs and insects, which really, I was listening to another article the other day about the frightening decline in insects around. And you don't even know what is leading to that in some cases. They don't even know how crazy it is in terms of the decline. But I don't know if talking about driving and, avoiding deer. When I was a young kid, we drove across the country, and the bugs on the windshield would just, after an hour,
you'd have to stop and wipe off your windshield.
Stop and wipe
constantly.
it off.
Exactly.
Like about Nebraska in the summer, it's all about the bugs. That isn't the case anymore. Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed that when you were driving across the country moving to Texas, but I don't think it's not like it used to be. And on the one hand, that's great because now we don't have to worry about stopping every 30 miles to clean our windshield. On the other hand, it's an alarming issue to think about when you think about the balance of nature and the fact that most of our food needs pollinators and bugs, and we don't even know what the impact might be by losing all of those spiders and flies and all these things which we think of as gross, but actually are pretty important. And so it's great to focus on these big furry, creatures, which we, the bears and the lions and the tigers, which are the poster children for conservation. But we have to also think about the little creatures.
The little guys matter too. And speaking of little guys, Angelina Jolie agrees. One of our headlines today is that Angelina Jolie covers herself in bees to raise awareness about pollinators. Another little guy. Scientists use algae proteins to partially restore the vision of blind men. Blind man, not all men, just a blind man. What is body neutrality and how can I achieve it? And there is a simple trick that can significantly boost your brain health. What else do we have today on the Optimist Daily,
Well,
Kristy?
as we've talked about quite a bit on the Optimist Daily, there's a psychedelic therapy movement which is starting to come into its own. InnoMake is a smart shoe designed for the elderly and for the visually impaired. Scientists are successfully using CRISPR to lower cholesterol in monkeys. Very important. And finally, there's an article about 6 ways to practice mindfulness with your kids, which, train them young and give them some tools that'll last their lifetime. And that's it for today's Optimist Daily headlines. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to keep sharing positive, solution-based news stories with ideas on how you can participate in the changing world and help ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to cover current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us.
And if you are in the mood, do it. And even if you're not in the mood, don't do it. I don't know, do it. Just whatever. Please consider becoming an emissary on the optimistdaily.com. And for just $5 a month, support reader-funded independent journalism. Be part of the solution, changing consciousness and addressing our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Let's keep the Optimist Daily free to all who need it, supported by those who can. Hey, Kristy, thanks for helping out and being amazing and being a great partner. I am super grateful for you, and I am grateful for everyone who listens to the show. Amelia, you're pretty cool too.
Likewise, Summers, I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for everybody listening, and very much for Amelia. Yep. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with a guest.
Oh, that's right. We have Katie Morton on tomorrow. Ooh, yep. It's going to be good. All right. Bye, guys.